An Akwa Ibom State High Court has sentenced a resident pastor of a popular church to death after finding him guilty of murdering his landlord in Uyo. The judgment followed a detailed trial that uncovered a chain of events leading to the killing of a final year university student. The Akwa Ibom State High Court, sitting in Uyo, has sentenced a 29-year-old resident pastor to death by hanging for the murder of his landlord, Gabriel Bassi Edward. The presiding judge, Justice Gabriel Et, convinced Prince Emmanuel Umo, the pioneer resident pastor of the Ifa Ikot Ubo Ifa Ikot Obom branch of the church, for killing Edward. The deceased was a 500-level civil engineering student of the University of Uyo, whose academic results released after his death showed that he graduated with first-class honors. According to evidence presented during the trial, Edward had relocated to his late mother's property in Ifa Ikot Ubo to secure the estate and live closer to his school. His mother, before her death in December 2019, had established a nursery school on the property. The court held that Edward lived in a two-bedroom flat within the compound with his younger brother, Emmanuel Edward Bassi. A large hall in the compound, originally built for school activities, was later rented to the church for worship at an annual rent of 150,000 naira with the consent of Edward's father, Emmanuel Bassi Edward, a retired school principal. The church was allowed to begin using the hall even before full payment of the rent. Prince Emmanuel Umo was later posted to the branch as his resident pastor. Evidence showed that on December 21, 2020, the defendant was seen entering the deceased compound. Neighbors later reported hearing loud screams invoking Jesus from within the premises. Shortly after, the defendant was seen leaving the compound wearing a white garment stained with blood, which he claimed resulted from a fall while attempting to hang a banner. Edward was not seen alive after that day. On December 26, 2020, a day after Christmas, his decomposing body was discovered in his room, wrapped in a mat and bearing multiple stab wounds. A butcher's knife was found beside the body. The prosecution argued that the defendant, being the last person seen with the deceased and having unexplained bloodstains, became the prime suspect and was subsequently arrested and charged with murder. Prince Emmanuel Umo was arraigned on December 6, 2021 on a one-count charge of murder and pleaded not guilty. To prove its case, the prosecution called 6 witnesses, including the deceased father. The court heard that after the church began operations, the defendant had requested permission to store church tiers and other items in the deceased flat due to security concerns around the hall. Although the request was granted, the arrangement led to disputes, as the deceased often had to travel back home to grant access to the items. Following complaints, the deceased was instructed to hand over a spare key to the defendant. Afterward, household items belonging to the deceased's late mother reportedly went missing, raising suspicion. When confronted, the defendant claimed the key had been lost. The issue was reported to the church leadership and funds were provided to change the locks. No further items reportedly went missing after that. Further evidence revealed growing tension between the deceased and the defendant over the handling of rent money paid for the use of the hall. In a judgment that lasted over 2 hours, Justice Et described the case as deeply tragic and held that the prosecution had proven its case beyond reasonable doubt. The court noted the contradiction of a religious leader taking a life within a church environment and stated that such conduct amounted to a serious betrayal of public trust. The judge concluded that the defendant posed a danger to society and must face the full consequences of the law. He thereafter sentenced Prince Emmanuel Umo to death by hanging. The conviction brings an end to a case that shocked the local community and raised broader questions about trust, accountability, and justice within religious and communal spaces. Uche Jacinta, Eagles TV.